Hi there. I have a hankering for deviled eggs. So I'm making some deviled eggs. So I'll tell you what I do. Now, you don't want to use fresh eggs for deviled eggs or any kind of boiled eggs that you want to peel because they will really fight you to get the peeling off. So what I did, I've had these eggs probably about a week, I guess. So I did 2, 4, 6. I did 6 eggs, 6 whole eggs, and that should make 12 deviled eggs. I put them in cold water, covered them in cold water. I boiled them on high for about 10 minutes. Turn that off. I drained all the hot water, covered them in cold water, drained the cold water, covered them in cold water again. And now we're down to peeling. So here's what I'm going to do. Now I'm just going to tell you, sometimes these things will work and sometimes they won't. So what you've got to do is you've got to break that all up. Can you see? You see how that's just crumbled all to pieces? Okay, and then there's a membrane, and I hate that word, but that's what it is. It's like a little a thin skin, and if you get up under that, this just peels right off. Look, there you go. So I usually keep a little bowl of water here, and I'll just lay those aside because I want to get these all broken up, peeled off, before I start actually making the deviled eggs. Look at there. Listen, I've tried everything under the sun. I've tried baking soda in the water. I've tried vinegar in the water. I've tried every possible trick of the trade. And the bottom line is what I always come back to. Now, see if it gives you a fit. Just keep working until you get under that little membrane, that little thin piece. And all it is just a thin piece of, it looks like onion skin almost, that holds the shell on. If you get under that, between that and the actual egg, it's going to come off. And listen, worst case scenario, I have had batches of eggs that would not peel for the life of me. So I got them out the best I could. They looked horrible. They looked butchered up. It wasn't anything I was going to cut in half and make pretty deviled eggs out of. I'm just a southern girl that way, and I like my deviled eggs to look good. So what I've done, and I've done this and taken it to events before, like if I signed up to bring deviled eggs and they just didn't work. Listen, if you will take your yolk out just like you would, get the eggshell off the best you can. See how pretty that is? Get it off the best you can. Chop up your egg whites, which would be the cup that holds your deviled egg solution. Mix up your deviled egg solution like we use mayonnaise and mustard, salt and pepper. That's all I use. I don't put pickle relish in mine. If you do, you can. I don't put jalapenos in mine. If you do, you can. Whatever you like in your deviled eggs. Now look, that was 6 eggs, and they just did beautifully. They did really, really good. Let me adjust my camera here so you can see. So what I would do is just mix that up in the case that they're butchered all pieces and you can't use them. I would mix that up and then mix up my mayonnaise and mustard and salt and pepper with my egg yolks and mix that real good and then just toss it into the egg whites. And I just kind of made a deviled egg salad. It works. It sure beat losing the whole lot of them. So now what I do while they're still hot is I just cut halfway down, and your egg yolks are going to go in a separate little bowl. Most of the time, they will tip right out. See? They just flip right out. So we're going to do that. I love deviled eggs. I love them. And from time to time, I don't know why, I just need deviled eggs in my life. Now these work really well for my Weight Watchers eating plan if I use my olive oil mayonnaise. If I use regular mayonnaise, then I've got to do some counting and make sure I account for that full fat mayonnaise. That's what I'm doing today. Because I need my deviled eggs to taste just like I would want my deviled eggs to taste. I have done these before and put bacon in them. I've done honey mustard. I've done I don't know what all I've done. I've done quite a few different varieties, and you can find all sorts of ideas or tastes. I don't sprinkle mine with paprika. I don't sprinkle them with parsley, because what I find is any seasonings that you put on top of it, if they have to sit for any length of time, turns an odd color. Let me get a fork. Okay. Now that is the yolks of 6 eggs, and from here you can probably find a recipe that tells you exactly how much, but I'm going to eyeball it. So we've got a good old, that's a heaping tablespoon of mayonnaise. Shake that up a little bit. Then I'm probably going to put about half that much mustard. We're going to put salt and pepper. Now be careful. Remember what I told you about salt. You can add more. You can salt your deviled eggs even just ready to eat, but you can't take that salt out. Once it's in there, it's in there. There's really no fixing that. If they're too salty, they're too salty. And I think at any point of life these days, we could all use a little bit less salt in our lives. Okay, so I'm just mashing this together with a fork. I'll get it just as smooth as I can with this fork. Now I have used an electric mixer and mixed this up and got it really, really smooth, and then pipe it through a piping bag. That's not what we're doing today. I ain't got time for that because I want some deviled eggs. Okay. So now, if this looks a little bit dry, if you think that's a little dry, you know, and you'll know what I'm saying, it'll look more pasty than creamy, then we're going to add just a little bit more mayonnaise. I added about a teaspoon, and that gets it, that takes away that dry, cakey look. Okay, there we go. Okay. Now, all I do from here, I hope you can see it, I really just, and you should have enough of this to put in all of these. So what I do normally is I just start small and get around to most all of them, and then I can add to them. I don't want to run short, because it's kind of like salt. It's going to be hard to, and if you find lumps in there, just go back with your fork and stir those up. I love making deviled eggs. I don't know why, as long as the eggs cooperate. But like I said, old eggs, and I don't mean old, I mean, Lord, a week old. Buy them at the store. I don't know how long they've had them. I don't know how old the eggs are. But if I know I have kept them in my refrigerator for about 4 or 5 days, I know they're not brand new eggs. And those tend to work the best. And you saw how clean those came off. Out of all the procedures I have tried and all the concoctions I have tried, that seems to be the key element, is don't use new eggs. Don't use fresh eggs. We'll put it that way. They don't need to be real fresh. I'm just going back around and adding to these that need just a little bit more to finish up this batch. And honestly, this is probably going to be my lunch. I love deviled eggs. Looky there. See how pretty?